Hello, everyone, again. This is our second meeting, and I'm really excited and touched by this opportunity to dive deep with you, dive deep with Yigal, dive deep with myself with this moment. And I thought today, Yigal, maybe you would like to lead us into a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes of some form of stilling the mind and arriving into the body, some kind of presencing practice of what maybe some of what you do at the Om Maya Om Center, and after which we will resume our deep dive into the topics that we touched last time and continue today.
Great. Hi, Sofia, and hi to all that listening to us right now. I'm happy to share one of the things that we do here and in Om Maya Om Center is before we start any session, we give few minutes to connect to our body. People call it meditation. I like to call it that we remind ourselves how to observe the breath and the sensation in the body. So we practice to bring the mind back to the body. What is the use of bringing the thoughts, the mind, the entity, the personality back to the body? Is that many times the mind is moving fast, acting, reacting very fast. And because the body is much slower than the mind, when the mind focuses on the breath or focus on sensation in the body, the mind slows down, and then it's much easier to see the thought, the sensation as it is. So I invite everyone in this moment, just connect to their body. Doesn't matter which position you are. You don't have to cross your leg or sit still right now. It's better not to lie down because you might fall asleep and not being conscious of your body. Any position that will support us to be conscious and alive, it's welcome. And the first thing I will do, you can use open eyes and you can use closed eyes. It's up to you. The benefit of closing the eyes, there is less distraction of what's happening outside. And if you are deciding to keep your eyes open, just focus on one point. So you don't look around, you're just focused on this point. You don't label this point, you just have a reference point in front of you. You just focus. Then you start to connect to the body and feel your sensation. Feel the tension. You go from top to the bottom, bottom to the top. You create your own structure, your own guidance, as long as you stay in a framework of your body. And once you feel that the body is relaxed, and you feel your body, you feel your parts on your body, then you can come back to the breath. The way I like to guide people where to focus the mind on the breath, it's this point. And I call this point the point of concentration. Why do I observe this point with my mind? Because it's easy for me to feel the air coming in and out from the nostril. And I just want to be aware. When the air going out, I'm aware the air going out. When the air coming in, I'm aware the air coming in. Our job is to be aware. The goal is not to focus on the breath all the time because it's impossible. Mind like to jump from one task to another task, from one thought to another thought. So our job is to be aware. Inhale, exhale, I'm aware. Suddenly I wander into images from the past, or I'm projecting what I have to do after this meeting. Then suddenly I'm aware that I'm thinking, and I come back, observe the breath, or observe the body. So whatever is working for you at that moment, you just follow. One of the useful way to practice this way is that you're not fighting against what is. Because I hear sometimes the mind say, no, I'm supposed to conscious, to be aware, to focus on the breath. So what's wrong with me? Why I cannot be on the breath all the time? Only 1 minute, 2 minutes, and I'm already wandering. That's the condition. If you work with the condition and not against the condition, you will experience peace. So it requires patience, the ability to stay vigilant, being here, moment by moment, coming back to the body. Mind is wandering to the past and the future, coming back to the body. Notice the body is sitting, standing, whatever it is. You just follow your breath. You don't count the breath. You don't label if it's a good or bad, strong or weak. You just notice when it comes in and out, when it comes deep or shallow. Just notice that. What is the difference between notice and choosing? Notice and controlling. It just, the difference is when the body is breathing, I'm aware the body is breathing in the past. When I want to control, I have an intention. So now, for a few minutes, I won't just breathe 5 in, 5 out. So I'm not really observing the breath. And it requires willingness to go through the process, and it's self-study, it's self-awareness. The more we come back to the framework of the body, we are here in the body. We are connected to the 5 senses. We can elaborate it more when we do a full session of what is meditation. I will explain. But for right now, before we start anything, we have this tool, a very useful tool to connect to the body, and the mind slow down, the breath slow down, and if it is not slowing down, that's also okay. Just be aware that that's the intention. That's all what we can do. Putting the intention, sustain energy, start again, notice the change, and just relax. So let's for a few minutes do it together. You can choose close your eyes or open your eyes. For me, it's fine. Just go to your body, relax, notice from the top to the bottom that there is no tension in the body, and if there is a tension, you physically relax the tension. Once you're ready, you go back to the breath. Notice the body is breathing. I am aware. Our job is not to become meditator, to see that meditation is our nature, this moment, observing what is as it is. When there is no thought that telling us, oh, I'm supposed to breathe faster, then there is no separation. Thought appear, separation begin. Going back to the inhalation, no separation. Stay with the breath. If the mind is wander and you caught, oh, I'm wandering. Great. Inhale. Now, sometimes people share with me that they have a challenge with recognize the breath, which is okay. So you can take exhale all the way out as much as you can. You hold the breath out for, and then you feel the body wants to breathe, you go in. So once you do it consciously, you start to recognize the breath, and then you drop again because we don't want to control the breath. Just the intention is to connect to the breath, connect to the body. Play with that, because ultimately we have to find our way. We are the guidance of ourselves. Yes, in the beginning we use books, we use people, we use video, just to trigger, to reveal our own guidance, because that will feel the most in alignment with my own guidance.
Thank you for that. I always appreciate from my own experience when I'm able to come to some kind of stillness and speak from there. Somehow the words feel different, the space feels different, the meaning feels different. I really more and more remember to make that part of my communication. And when I can, I'm experiencing gratitude. So thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned intention, because last time we touched on the importance of being self-aware, on the fact of conditioning that human being goes through as a necessary part of forming as an individual in society, the cultural authority, the interactions, and the beliefs and stories that get formed as a result of being met with this, and perhaps not having a discerning, formed intelligence to discern truth from false, real from not real. And maybe by the time we are adults, not really having a very accurate picture of what is real in us or outside of us. And we also touched on direct and indirect knowledge. How can we know something and discern it from knowing it as information, from knowing it directly? And in the end, we also introduced the observing the breath practice throughout the day as a way to begin to get in touch with the direct knowledge and also indirect knowledge, but to begin to be able to discern the two, and to discern when we are feeling emotion, when we're having thoughts, what sensations are present. And the start of that, as I understood from our conversation, is to begin being aware of the simple, most apparent thing, which is the breath. So today I want to take us a step farther, and here I am. Throughout the week, I remembered some of the time to notice that the body is breathing, that no matter how real the most accessible interpretation of what is happening for me feels, that there is a little bit also awareness that fully I don't know if it's true, the story that's going through me emotionally or mentally, and the ability to be with it, and at the same time not to be completely lost with it. And the question that I want to touch today to perhaps some of our listeners experience the same when they notice their body breathing and they notice different elements of their experience. It's likely, and I certainly experienced that there is a lot of suffering that we get in touch with when we are paying attention to what's happening for us when we are not awake. There may be anxiety, there may be fear, there may be discomfort, however we want to call it. There is a basic part of us that doesn't very much want to be here for whatever reason. Maybe a reason that's not even clear why, just habit. So the question I want to explore around is, why would someone value getting in touch with this moment when likely what they may find is all kinds of things that is unknown and may be challenging, may be confusing? What is the value, and how do I know that value? Because I know the value of escaping. It's like a drug, it gives me temporary result. I know the value of distracting. It makes my identity more reaffirmed. So I would like to now take the self-aware, the idea of the understanding that to begin to be self-aware is a possibility, a choice. And I would like to take it now to the question of value. What is the value of that for me as an individual?
I see it's a very useful question because nobody taught us how to reflect on value. And we have to ask, what is value? Do we know what is value when we say, I want to follow my value, I want to connect to value? When you hear this question, and people in the audience can go and ask themselves, because when I don't know what is value, how can I have value? How can I benefit if I don't know what is the value?
Perhaps we can elaborate on the word value by adding the word wish to it. Why would I wish to continue paying attention, being self-aware?
First of all, when I don't pay attention, how do I do my tasks? Yeah, I wake up in the morning and moment by moment, I'm taking care of my life. So that's value, to be aware, to take action that I don't have to doing it because I'm not aware. I don't pay attention. I spend more money. I don't ask the question. So the benefit of being aware, being here, being clear, being efficient, it's the benefit of everyone. Appreciate if they can function without doubts, without feeling that they are not enough, they are not good enough, they cannot overcome the obstacles, the challenge. Yes, because when one of the value is being efficient, okay? How do I be efficient without paying attention of this moment? Listen to what the structure, see while I'm functioning, the things that really support me, the things that are not supporting me, the things that are really working and the things that are not working. So I see that's the motivation, not necessary to follow the breath. Don't get confused. For me, follow the breath is no different when I open the door and I'm fully, my hands touching the door, I'm aware how the door is open. So I'm there 100%, all the attention there. Walking is the same, eating will be the same, engaging will be the same. So the value or the benefit of practice being here, connect to the body, is I will have full attention instead of 5% and 95%. I'm wondering because I'm worrying what people think about me, what I like that people would think about me, etc.
It's a wonderful picture, and wonderful to know that there is a possibility for us to be 100% with whatever we're doing. And from my own experience, I know that the many threads of conditioning that we have received have their own momentum. So even though my wish, and even the next step, my intention, determination, may be to bring as much of my attention as possible to this moment, to this interaction, to feeling the floor under me, to feeling my hands on top of one another. The momentum of my conditioning, my habitual way of being, my mind, my feelings, my body sensations, they're all, I like the analogy of wild horses that are pulling me in different directions. And it can be quite strong, the pull. So, and there is a reason most of the time why, because maybe I don't feel ready to be this moment with whatever is happening. I would rather want to run away, or I don't feel like I'm in control. And this is what I see, that the main reason why I want to run away from the moment as it is because I don't feel in control. As I feel, not in a real way, but at least I have the feeling of control when I'm feeling like I am doing how I think is best. So I may run away, I may distract myself, I may listen to you but not listen to you because it doesn't seem like it has any value, and value is somewhere else. So these momentums are very strong, and in order to truly summon the horses and bring them back, suddenly there is awareness of, like I was saying, different content, different experiential content that might not be so pleasant. So, or maybe even not clear. So with this complex of various aspects of me that are have their own movement, how do I know that coming here and paying attention to what is as it is somehow more worthy of my attention, even if it's simple opening the door, when I can fantasize about something much more juicy, let's say. And now I come back to the question of value. What is the value of opening the door? Even if it's efficient, I may still feel that that's not really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in going and getting the cake right now. So the question of intention and discipline comes in, and how can we cultivate this sense of discipline in us and motivate ourselves?
So what I experience that we have to go back to beginning of our life. None of what you share, it was my concern or your concern when we were 4 years old. How come? And we have to look and observe how come we condition by our parents, family, society, and ourselves to be distracted. And many times people think it's because I'm bored. But the truth is, we are very much strong conditioned about pleasant and unpleasant, pleasure and pain. When I sitting here right now and I observe the sensation and the thought appear, I don't like this sensation. I go to the memory and I remember that yesterday the cake that I ate not far away from here had a great association with pleasure. So I choose pleasure right now. I cannot get the pleasure for what I have right now. I will get the pleasure for my memory that in few minutes I can relive this memory with pleasure. And that's basically what we condition. Seeking pleasure, avoiding pain. Aversion for the pain, craving for pleasure. It's not that this moment it's not enough for us. The condition of what we are looking for is pleasure. It's not just being here, being contained. Because many times we can be contained, and you ask me, how do I feel? I feel okay, challenge, unpleasant sensation, but still I'm very contained because that's what I want. I want to be here. I want to experience what is as it is. Why do I want it? What is the benefit of me focus on what is as it is? Because that's always available for me. Instead of wanting something I don't have and keep searching and going after pleasure that support me at that moment, and I'm feeling happy for that moment, but in the same time create weakness of meeting what is as it is. So then I start to see the experience of my life is very limited. So it doesn't matter how much pleasure I get, there is the fear that I don't know how to handle the pain, the discomfort. And they are supporting each other. Because the moment I want to be stronger and I was looking to be comfort, they are not supporting each other. If you are comfort, you relax. And when you're not comfort, you look to be comfort. You don't know how to relax. We don't know how to relax with the discomfort until it turns to be comfort. So the question that we all have to ask, what is the purpose? What is the reason we do what we do? Then we go back to value. What is value? Do I connect to my value that's supporting me to adjust, to adapt to life? Then I will go and ask, what is suffering? Because you use it in the beginning. It's few things that we must, as a human being, start the day every day and find out that we don't get lost.
And so, even though the moment may not be as exciting as my imagination of what would give me satisfaction, you are sharing that what is available to us is much more available than what we imagine or hold as a possibility as being more than what is here. And I can see this being available, this kind of choice and this kind of insight when we are in a relatively, all is okay, just came home, can relax, nobody's tugging at me, and can just sit, maybe watch TV, maybe just look at nature, maybe lay down and rest. I can see how it's possible to relax when the stakes are not high. But the one word that I met this morning and I thought, oh, perfect addition to our exploration is the word trigger, a word that people use, we all use often. This triggered me. That person triggers me. This issue triggers me. I feel triggered. How come you triggered me? You always do this to me. And what we mean by trigger, usually it's like the weapon that suddenly there is an explosion of ammunition and there is no stopping it most of the time, no matter how aware. Probably when you are very, very aware, there is enough distance, but in my experience, most of the time, the energy just rushes through the body before anyone can even understand what's going on. So I'd like to hear what are some of the helpful ways that we can have as tools for the moments when we are quote unquote triggered, and perhaps that can be the practice also for this session that people can take home for the week and see if it works for them.
Absolutely. So if we use the word trigger, what triggers us through others or through object is the unpleasant sensation or the pleasant sensation. It's the association. And something very practical is to start to recognize if someone says something that I don't like to hear, it triggers within me something. Then I have unpleasant sensation. Do I react to the person that it triggered to me when I'm conscious? And that's what we want to see. This week, when you interact with people and you see, wow, they trigger within me being exciting. They trigger within me being upset. Check what happened to the sensation and notice if you react to the people or we react to the sensation itself. And after the sensation arrives, we go and blame the people. And we are not dealing with the sensation and observing the sensation. So it's connect to what you said before. How can we put it into use? Definitely, when I already triggered and I have any reaction, depends how intense the reaction, I cannot do anything right now. It's like now a storm came, and now while the storm is here, I need to block my window, block my doors, protect my house from the storm. It's too late. The storm is already here. So that's what we do this moment of awakening, to remind the mind, if you experience trigger from the society, trigger from life, that it's annoying us, create reaction, a huge reaction within us, when we are not triggered, when we are not in reaction, when we are more calm, this is what we want to reflect. And also we want to really ask the question and see what are the practices when next time I will have a storm within me, how can I handle it? So when I don't need it, I can practice strengthen the muscles of being present, observe the sensation, act instead of reacting. Then when I need it, I can put it into use. But if I always wait for a moment that I need it, then to practice, probably we will find it's not working with us. So the next assignment for all of us this week is look what is trigger, what people trigger within us, what the event or the situation trigger within us. Let's look at the cause of it. Let's observe the cause of it. So we can really see that, yes, the matches was triggered the candle to turn on. But the candle is on because the candle, not because the matches. Although without the matches, probably the candle at that moment cannot turn on. But it has the potential. So if it's not this person, maybe that person's mother, beloved, someone will trigger within me an opportunity to come back to the body, come back to the breath, come back to the sensation and observe it. And that's the motivation that you talked earlier about what is the value for me to be non-reaction. Because let's be honest with ourselves. Living life with reacting, attacking, being upset, or living life with ability to stop, to ask the question and take action, adapt, change. Check which value you want to live your life. Then how you get to establish in this value. And that's what we are really doing it when we are in the retreat. We start in the beginning to ask each other, what is value? What is the individual value? What is the society value? How they connect to each other? And how the value really get out the potential of my flavor, of who I am as body, mind, expression. And this is very much keep the practice simple again. Observe, notice what and who trigger me, and how do I feel after something trigger me. Am I happy? Am I unhappy? And how do I deal with when I'm happy? And how do I deal when I'm unhappy? Then the next steps is to observe if you have the energy, if you practice when you don't need it, when you don't need it. And that's for me very clear that we can talk all day long, but the fact is, if we cannot put it into use, we will feel frustration, we will feel useless. Then we will try to find different theory and another theory. It's very much reminding me when I share, I didn't eat for a few hours, I go to a restaurant and I start to read the menu and I like the menu, but I don't want to try. Then I realize I'm not satisfied. Then I go and find another restaurant, I read another menu, I love the picture, but I don't want to try, and etc., etc., etc. And that's what I like about this talking. Let's see what we talk, we can live, we can do. And how do I know that it's working for me? I have to ask myself, what is the purpose I'm doing what I'm doing? What is the reason? What is the goal? Because if I want to be happy or content, I have to check if my action supporting my goal, my intention. So that's what I see when you ask me this question. It's very clear to find out what is trigger first and how trigger related to me and the other people. And after I realize what the effect of being triggered, can I observe it? Can I see it as it is?
I want to share that I'm observing right now kind of a gentle excitement, just from the way that you have been talking about connecting the value and the observation, and from the actual firsthand experience, also marrying it with the value, both in the beginning, valuing what I'm going to do right now, because I want to see if it works. So I put my trust in it that I will learn whether it works or not and what it will bring me. And then also marrying it from the end, when I experience the fruit of my practice, of my act, I can value the understanding I got from it, even if it's an understanding that this didn't work, because anyway, I I harvested something from it. I harnessed something firsthand, not from the book, not through someone else, but through my own experiential vehicle. And so you triggered in me right now a kind of an excitement, but like the candle, maybe excitement is also my nature, and therefore it came forward. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And I think that I love that you mentioned action versus reaction. And I think that we will cover that in our next session. And
Beautiful.
this session, I invite everyone to experiment with what we covered, and maybe after some notable moments, maybe jot a few things down in the journal and reflect and maybe share. That would be wonderful. And contemplate how this, whatever experiment you were able to do, turned out to be value and what value feels like.
Yes, absolutely. I'm grateful for this meeting and to share with everyone that the true learning, the actual learning, is by doing it. Nobody truly learn from listen and get lecture and philosophize about it. It's take the words, try them, put hands on, find for yourself, and share with all of us, because that's beautiful when we create a community of millions of minds and bodies that can try and find out that happiness you experience by doing, not by thinking. And when we are 100% doing what we are doing, and there is no separation, there is no doubts, we truly learn to live life the way we used to live. We all born into this ability to just live life, be happy, and none of this conversation will apply to two years old, because
And
they are
that's
laughing and crying.
crying. And that's what I want to really
Yes.
emphasize. That being
Yes.
happy doesn't mean smiling and being exhilarated all the time. Being happy, I find, means also feeling something like loss, like sadness, like grief, like separation from a beloved, but feeling it from a different place, not from a place of maybe so much, but from a place of embracing the experience, kind of like what we were just talking about, triggers. So I would like to emphasize that, because it's easy for the mind to suddenly jump and say, oh, yes, I'm going to be happy all the time. It's going to be great. And, oh,
No.
what's happening? I'm not happy. I'm kind of okay, but not happy. So I'm not there yet. And I just want to also,
It's
bring that
great.
perspective. Yeah.
It's great point, because if we forgot, go to your neighbor or look at your child, look at 2 years old. Life is exactly what you said. It's both laughing and crying. Totality with both allowed us to see what is to live a contained life, free life. So when you know how to do both of them, the art of dying is the art of living. The art of crying is the art of laughing. Being fully with that, there is no separation, no fear. And this is all the purpose why we even talk about what we talk, is to point to people, to point to us, that we already here, not there. We just forgot. So the more people as a global community remind each other what we forgot, we are living in a freedom life, in a contained life, happy life. Name it, it doesn't matter, because no name can describe the feeling of being alive.
I want to thank you for bringing the totality into picture, and also remind myself that it's when I truly embrace my suffering is what helps me get in touch with compassion, because I firsthand know what it's like to be a human being that embraces both ends.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And we look forward to hearing from everyone about their experiences. And we may touch on some of them in our meeting. And until next time, thank you, Yigal.
You're welcome. Thank you all, and have a perfect moment. And we'll meet again when we'll meet again. All the very best.